Hello students, welcome to grade 10 science class. I am Marisol Castillo, your science teacher. In this video lesson, we will continue to discuss about the location of earthquakes, volcanoes, and mountain ranges. Before we start, please prepare your paper and pencils to jot down important details in this lesson. Remember, by taking down notes, you can easily remember our lesson. So, let's start. In the last video lesson, we mentioned about Pacific Ring of Fire as one of the bases of the scientists in making the plate boundaries. But, what is Pacific Ring of Fire? Do you have any idea? Pacific Ring of Fire is also known as Circum-Pacific Belt. It is 40,000 kilometers long. They say it has a horseshoe shape. It is seismically active belts where 90% of earthquake occurs and 75% of the world's active volcanoes are located. Talking about volcanoes, we use volcanism as a geological term that refers to the various processes and phenomena associated with eruption of molten rock or magma into the surface of Earth or solid surface, planet, or moon, where lava, pyroclastic, and volcanic gases erupt through a break in the surface called a vent. So as magma is released onto the surface, lava flows out and accumulates around a vent. This process forms a volcano. When we say volcano, it is a landform around an opening in the Earth's surface from which lava flows and pyroclastic materials and gases are expelled. Volcanoes can form along convergent and divergent plate boundaries. When the tectonic plates move apart or diverge, magma will ooze out from the cracks, features of the crust that are moving apart, forming vents. This will then lead to formation of new land masses, volcanoes, and volcanic activities. On the other hand, when the plates move towards each other or converge, upon collision, the plate that sinks or subducts will melt in the mantle. And when there is melting of plates, formation of volcanoes occurs. But not all volcanoes form at plate boundaries. Some form instead in the interior of a plate, where geologists call them hotspot volcanoes or simply hotspots. Example of this is the Hawaiian Emperor Seamounts. One explanation of such activity is the presence of a mantle plume, a regionally restricted column of hot rock rising inside a stenosphere. When it reaches the base of the lithosphere, the rock partially melts, sending the intrusion of magma upwards into the plate. Some of this magma erupts to form active underwater volcanoes, or, if activity is sustained, an active volcanic island. An entire chain of such islands form because the plate carrying the volcanoes move across the stationary hotspot inside the stenosphere. This movement slowly carries the active volcano off the mantle plume, causing it to go extinct. A new island grows in its place over the plume. When the plate motion changes, so does the direction of the volcanic island chain. The inactive older islands cool and subside with distance to the heat source, and experience significant erosion. With time, former hotspot islands turn into smaller shallow islands and ultimately become underwater seamounts. Through geological time, the direction of the plate motion is recorded by this hotspot tract of islands and underwater seamounts. As mentioned previously in our last episode, the Philippines lies with the Pacific Ring of Fire, a region of subduction zone volcanism surrounding the Pacific Ocean. It is situated at the boundaries of two tectonic plates, the Philippine Sea Plate and the Eurasian Plate, both of which subduct or dive beneath the archipelago along the deep trenches along its east and west seaboard. Look at this illustration. What is this figure? This figure is a geophysical hazard map that shows the areas in the country that are at risk to volcanic eruptions. This explains the distribution of most volcanoes in the Philippines. Volcanoes are generally described as mountains that emit volcanic products like lava, rock, ashes, and gases from the interior of the earth through its vents. In the Philippines, volcanoes and volcanic activities are classified and monitored by the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or the PHIVOLCS. PHIVOLCS classifies volcanoes according to its eruptive history. It can be active, potentially active, and inactive. Volcanoes that are currently erupting or are expected to erupt in the near future are called active volcanoes. Did you know that 24 historically active volcanoes are distributed all over the Philippine archipelago? Examples of these are the Mount Pinatubo, Mount Bulusan, and Taal volcano that erupted last January 2020. Volcanoes that are not currently erupting but have erupted within recordable history and are expected to erupt again in the future are called potentially active or dormant volcanoes. Examples of these are the Mount Arayat, the Mount Isarog, and the Mount Talinis. While volcanoes that are considered as dead and are not expected to erupt in the future are called inactive or extinct volcanoes. Volcanic eruption causes damages not only into the surroundings but also to the human. So, here are some precautionary measures that we should follow before, during, and after volcanic eruption. Before volcanic eruption, we should listen to the radio for updates from authority when there is an impending eruption that may cause ashfall. We should prepare emergency supply kit and place in an accessible area. The basic items inside an emergency supply kit are first aid kit and medications, food, bottled water, flashlights and batteries, radio, lighters and matches, whistle, dust mask, goggles, knife, blankets and spare clothes, rope that at least 7 meters long, plastic wrap, toiletries, pen and paper, emergency contact numbers, and cash. We should prepare dust masks or clean cloth for covering the nose and goggles for eye protection. Prepare cleaning supplies such as broom, vacuum cleaner with spare bags and filters, and a shovel. Consider that you should be stocked in your vehicle. Store emergency supplies in your vehicle. Have food and water provision for pets, poultry, and livestock. Know the location of evacuation area. If you have children, know the school's emergency plan. Have indoor games and activities ready for children. During the volcanic eruption, we should stay calm, stay indoors, cover your nose and mouth with damp, clean cloth or dust mask. Close all windows and doors of your house and your car. Place damp towels or cloth at door openings and other open sources. Listen to the radio for updates, developments regarding the volcanic eruption. Keep your pets in their shelter or inside the house to avoid inhaling ash. If you are driving a vehicle, pull to the side of the road and stop if there is a heavy ash fall, which causes poor or low visibility. If outside, look for a shelter and wear glasses to protect your eyes. Avoid using contact lenses. Wash all fruits and vegetables thoroughly before eating. Cover water containers and food to avoid contamination from ash. After volcanic eruption, as soon as the ash fall diminishes, scrape off the ash that has accumulated on the rooftops to prevent collapse. After removing the ash, clean the roof and gutter with water to prevent corrosion. Remove ash from windows and doors of the house and car. Use water before washing them with soap and lukewarm water. Wash grass before feeding the animals or livestock. Boil water before drinking. Use powder detergent in washing clothes covered in ash. Collect the ashes and put them in an area far from water drainage to avoid clogging. And lastly, use a vacuum cleaner or shake the furniture to loosen and clean the ash. Cover your nose and mouth while cleaning. So, those are the things that we need to learn about volcanoes. I hope you learned something. See you on our next video lesson.